What is up, everybody? I have no idea what day it is. I've been sick for like a week. I haven't been having practices. I'm sorry, y'all. I just went to the sauna, so I don't even know what this video is going to be about. I just felt like doing something. Maybe throughout the video I'll come up with a title. But so things that are going through my head, I think I've had the flu or something. I get hot and cold and sweaty and whatever. And well, last night, me working nights, it throws everything off. But when I last slept, like for what would be my nightly sleep, I soaked my mattress in sweat. Like I was just, and I remember waking up being covered in sweat and it being fucking soaking wet. So like I flipped the blanket to where it was in a dry spot and I scooted to a different spot in the bed, and I woke up an hour later and I had done the same thing. So like as soon as I got up, actually I didn't make it through the night. I ended up getting up and it was so wet and cold I ended up getting on the couch. And then when I woke up for the day, I had to wash my sheets and everything. But anyways, so a couple of things are going through my mind with this. One, like when I first started feeling sick, I started chugging body armors because of the vitamin C and vitamins and minerals. And then obviously when you're sick, you want to have fluids. But I wasn't necessarily at a position where I felt I was low on fluids or anything. I was mainly trying to get the vitamins. But immediately, as soon as I really knew I was sick, I was going to the bathroom as if I was overhydrated. Not that that's a bad thing. Obviously there could be extremes to everything, but when you're fully hydrated and you go to the bathroom, it's going to be clear and stuff. And like if I'm really chugging water a lot or something, like it's like the streams will last longer. Man, it didn't make a video about all this. Well, all that's going on, and I up my body armor intake. Like I up it to where, man, that for 2 or 3 days in a row, I had 2 28-ounce bottles, probably 3 bottles of water. And then I don't know if those were 12 or like 18 ounces, but like I did more than what I was. I was just making sure I was getting 1 bottle. When I did that, I quit going to the bathroom all the time. It was like odd. Now I also got to factor in the fact that I hadn't been putting in the work this last week either, so my body hadn't been sweating. I get to thinking if your body carries weight and it adapts to what it does regularly, it's expecting me to go to the sauna once a week and be there for an hour and a half and drop 6 pounds of sweat. So throughout the week, it's going to absorb that water to be prepared for that. And then it's also expecting me to practice 3 or 4 times and have sweat then too. And if I didn't do any of that, then my body's like, what? At least that's kind of what's maybe going through my head. But after I got up and I'd done all that sweating and everything, I felt better. I had lost my taste and smell a day or 2 ago, and I got it back right. Well, I don't know if I had it back this morning. I think this morning I could like smell my toothpaste. Like I was like, let me see if I can smell anything, and I could smell my toothpaste. It wasn't the strongest ever, but I got to thinking, I was like, man, I've heard of sweating out a fever, and I get to Googling it, and it's mixed. It's like dinosaurs with feathers, yo. There's mixed reviews. And everyone says doctors say this or doctors say that. Each doctor has an opinion, so it's different depending on who you talk to. Nothing's as a fact in science, and it drives me crazy. Anyways, hear about breaking a fever by sweating it out or like whatever, you know what I mean? And so I'm like, well, I haven't been to the sauna in a week or 2. I might as well go because I feel bad. So I went and I did about 45 minutes just now, and I feel better. It's been like 30 minutes since I was in there, and like my nose is getting a little more stopped up now. But I probably did more steam room than sauna. So I hadn't been in there for at least 2 weeks, maybe 3. Like 1 week it was just between the cold and then the rain and me being lazy and looking at a new job and then getting sick. It's like I've lost track of time and my whole schedule and routine's off. But I hadn't been in there on my regular routine. Usually around 8 minutes, 6 to 8 minutes in the steam room, I'll start sweating. Around 10 to 12, I can sit up and it'll pour down my back. Like I can feel it running down my back. Yo, within 2 minutes today, I was covered. And like a lot of times I'm going to the pool before I get into the freaking steam room. So it's like, I even have some moisture on me already this was just straight me. Man, that sounds probably annoying. I'm sorry, yo. I don't know. I guess with all that said, give all those personal details people probably don't want to know about going to the bathroom. One, people have to have these conversations to innovate and make progress. And the body adapts all the time. So just in like a year of me focusing on like weight cutting in the sauna and steam room, I think it's drastically affected the way I carry water. Not only me, I think that's just how it works in the world. Like if you continuously do something, your body's going to adapt to it. Like this is common sense. The things I'm saying, even though I'm kind of saying it and discovering it for myself, it's more of convincing myself right now. Nothing I'm saying is an unusual statement to us. I'm sorry there's a glare, yo. I didn't want to have y'all right up in my face, but I don't know how to not have a glare in there. I can see it too, guys. Let me try. Maybe we'll try like this. This is harder for me to do. All right, so then while we're talking about the body adapting, we'll go back to my breathing stuff. And anyone who knows me and trains with me, or if you've just been talking to me recently in my regular life, you know I've been on this kick strong. I might have made a video about it the other week. But I saw another thing where these people are diving underwater for 24 minutes without air. And like they're not still, you know what I mean? Like they're having to fire their muscles, and I swim. So I can relate that to fighting. Like that is not easy. Man, that's so mental. There's such a mental thing, and there's such an evolution to be had in fighting when we control our mental space to where it'll physically affect our body, such as like our oxygen use and stuff. And this has all been proven. It's just a matter of spreading the information, getting people to buy into it. People just argue stuff because they've heard it and they haven't seen the new information. When you see David Blaine floating 20,000 feet up and he's turned his heart rate down to like 18 beats a minute on camera with like 3 different machines tracking him, you can't deny it. Anyways, so I go off the air thing and I'm thinking, well, we may not have to breathe in fighting, but like, what if we didn't have to do it in anything? Like, we don't have to breathe as much as we think. Like, we're breathing all day. We could totally adapt our bodies to function with way less oxygen. And when we do that, I wonder what it transitions to. Like, it's gonna adapt and find new ways to do anything. Kind of like, I know it's not a perfect comparison, but like, isn't it like keto? You don't have any sugar or something, so it breaks down, like your body adapts and breaks things down differently or whatever. It's like it runs off sugar, whatever, you get what I'm saying? So just like a fun, interesting thing, it's like, what could the human species evolve into if we actually dedicate, like say you had a class in school, you had a 50-minute class, and that entire class for kindergarten through 12th grade was about breath control, trying to hold your breath as long as you can, trying to function and walk and run without holding your breath. We would absolutely change what humans are capable of physically. Like, in one span of it, in one, what is that, 13 years? In one set of 13 years, we would have a drastic difference just because someone spent that long on. And it's not unusual for us to say, well, if you spend that much dedication on something, you're going to get good at it or improve it or whatever. It's just fascinating to me when it's such simple everyday things. I don't know. And then when you start twisting the way they can use them, I don't know. I guess I'm on some sci-fi thoughts. And while I'm going to share this other thought, because I've always had this, you'll hear me say I'm like 20% autistic, and that's why I look at things differently. Well, having the conversation with a professional about autism, if you're ever in that position, it's like they let you down lightly. Like, I'd imagine it'd be like getting told you had cancer or AIDS or something. It's like, They think you're going to be horrified or it's a bad thing. But in my mind, autism has never had a negative connotation because of the people that I've met that were autistic. So like, I met one and the dude could solve a Rubik's Cube in like 15 seconds. This other guy, you'd play a video game in front of him, like on a Xbox, and he'd kind of look at the screen, and then he'd look at your hand, he'd watch your hands, and he'd figure out, he'd do that for a couple minutes, and then he'd hand the controller, and he didn't talk. He didn't know how, he could say some words, but he was like, you know, low functioning autism. And he could play that game better than anyone else. Like, he would just memorize what the buttons do just by watching within like a minute or two. It was fascinating. Then you have the autistic people that can do huge mathematical calculations in their head, or they literally see a picture of the New York skyline with all the buildings and then they can draw it by memory, like make an outstanding piece of artwork, hit every building and window. So in my head, when I heard about that, I was like, man, if we could take every one of those attributes and put it into a single person. So if you take the way I look at things, and then you take that person that can memorize stuff that they see in 1 second, and then a person that can do the mathematics, and you throw them all together inside a freaking Navy SEAL, you've probably got the most badass person of all time. So I guess today is going to be titled like Flu and Sci-Fi Human Body Ideas. You know what it is. It's the War Lab. Let's go.